Hello, I'm Patrick Maloney, digital editor with the London Free Press, and I'm your moderator for the London West All Candidates debate in the 2025 Ontario election. We have 3 candidates with us today. I'd like to be clear that all candidates, including the Progressive Conservative, were invited to participate in today's debate. We're going to start off with an opening statement from each of the candidates, beginning with Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats.
Thanks, Pat. I'm Peggy Sattler, and I'm running for re-election as your MPP in London West. Since 2013, I have been a strong voice for Londoners on healthcare, housing, and cost of living, all the issues that Doug Ford does not want to talk about in this election. Ford wants to avoid taking any responsibility for his wasteful spending and failed record. I want to keep pushing for solutions to fix the problems that our community faces. When I knock on doors, I'm hearing a lot of cynicism about this election. Yes, we should be fighting back against Trump's tariffs as hard as we can, and that needs to involve all levels of government in a united Team Canada approach. But we also need to fight for better health care, more affordable housing, supports for kids in schools, and help with the rising cost of living. These are the issues that I am committed to fighting for. I have always stood on the side of Londoners, and I'm asking for your support on February 27th.
Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
Hi, my name is Bakar Khan. I am living in West London. This is my second time that I'm trying to look for a seat for my riding. And for last, I think, so many years, we have our representative who is sitting in opposition. Unfortunately, my riding haven't seen anything good for till now. I am here representing my Liberal Party, and I assure you that you must have to see a change if you elect me. Thank you.
And Jim Johnston with the Green Party.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and to say hello to the people of London West. My name is Jim Johnston. I'm a professor at Fanshawe College. I teach in the business school, and I teach international business, including such things as market entry and ethics. I have been with the Green Party for about 20 years, over 20 years now, and this is my 5th campaign, but my first provincial campaign, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know the people better. However, we have to note that we start this in a kind of an odd climate, because during the time that Doug Ford has been the Premier of Ontario, things have simply gotten worse for everyone. And we have to remember that that's not going to change. So please get out and vote and make that change.
Okay, our first question. Strange though it may be to discuss a foreign politician during a provincial election, Donald Trump's tariff threat has become for many Ontario voters the key issue heading into the February 27th election. So my question for you is fairly simple. Can you give us your opinion of U.S. President Donald Trump? And we will start with Jim Johnston with the Greens.
Wow. Donald Trump's one of the unique politicians in the world. We're not accustomed to. He is a narcissist, and he has no respect for law and very little respect for anything else except himself. And as a consequence of that, it's a difficult person to negotiate with, perhaps impossible to negotiate with. And he has demonstrated that his moral base is very low. And so consequently, we're in a very vulnerable position in Canada because so much of our trade depends with the U.S., and it's time for us to diversify and improve our trade relationships with the European Union and other countries who believe in the rule of law. It's important that we make that change. Thank you.
And Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
Yeah, I think one of the best response to Mr. Trump was given by our ex-Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau. At the same time, I think this issue definitely has to be addressed, But for me, being trying to represent my West London riding, I would rather more focus on the issues which we are facing right now. I mean, in my riding, you can see bad infrastructure. We are facing shortage of doctors. Schools are overcrowded, and unfortunately, that leverage has been given to Mr. Ford by a friendly opposition. So for this reason, I would say that if you elect me, if you elect Liberals, and if we come into the government, first of all, we'll stop him. If not, then we definitely will give him a strong opposition.
Peggy Sattler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, Donald Trump was clearly elected by the American people to shake things up, and that's what he is doing. And, he set out his intentions early on, his plans to impose tariffs on Canada. And we heard a hot mic moment from Doug Ford, where Doug Ford said he was cheering Trump on. He wanted Trump to win this election. And as soon as the threat of tariffs became real, Doug Ford quit his job. And, we should be in the legislature right now talking about a stimulus package, talking about how we're going to respond to the tariffs on steel and aluminum. And instead, we are in an election campaign. I think Ontarians deserve better, and they deserve to have some stability and to fight back in a united way against Trump's tariffs.
A follow-up question on that same issue, given that it is so important to so many voters. What is Ontario's best approach to countering Donald Trump's threatened tariffs of 25% across the board on all Canadian-made goods sold in the U.S.? We'll start with Bakar Khan of the Liberals.
As I said, we definitely start preferring our own Canadian goods. But I'm sorry, I just want to discuss more towards my own riding, because this is very important for me, rather than issuing something which has to be issued by a federal MP. I would say that so far what Doug Ford has done to this province, that is unfortunately the disaster which we have been facing right now. Shortage of doctors. Again, money has been spent on just going to his friend's pocket, not spending on the people of the Ontario. A tunnel is being built where there's no light on the other end of that tunnel. So my priority is to discuss these issues. Definitely, feds and our leaders will discuss whatever has gone to, whatever is coming from US, and we will stand against them.
Go next to Peggy Sattler, the New Democrats.
Yeah, we need to fight back hard against these Trump tariffs, and we need to do that with a Team Canada approach. It has to involve all levels of government and all provincial premiers. We should be looking at how we're going to support our economy, our workers. We should be planning how we're going to protect every single job that is exposed by these tariff threats. Right now, we have a premier who is off in Washington, while we are in the midst of an election campaign. We should be having a debate in the legislature, working together. All the parties had committed to work together to come up with a plan to respond to the Trump tariffs with the leadership of the federal government, because Trump is not talking to Doug Ford. Trump is working on a nation-to-nation basis with our Prime Minister.
Jim Johnston of the Green Party.
I agree with Peggy. We need a Team Canada approach. Tariffs are a federal jurisdiction, and certainly I believe we need dollar-for-dollar countervailing tariffs to deal with this situation. We have to remember that we have a trade agreement with the United States, and it was negotiated by the previous Trump administration, and now the Trump administration simply doesn't care about that agreement. So this isn't a normal trade negotiation. It is something, it's what a bully does to people. This is not how friends act, even in disputes. And so it is very important that we have strong, united front. And Having emotional outbursts like ripping up agreements simply is not going to help us at all. We need to be the adults at the table.
Our next question. In London alone, more than 70,000 citizens have no family doctor. Is it reasonable for them to ask for a tax rebate if they have no gateway to the system they pay so much for? We'll start with Peggy Sadler of the New Democrats.
That actually the most recent figure that I'm aware of from the Ministry of Health is that there's 128,000 people in the London area who do not have access to primary care. And absolutely, our tax dollars should be going to fund a public health system that everyone has access to. The government has an obligation to ensure that every person in this province is able to access a family doctor and get the care that they need. It costs our healthcare system so much more when people don't have a family doctor and they end up having to go to hospital, to the emergency room to deal with a condition that could have been dealt with much earlier if they had a family doctor. So our tax dollars should be used to make sure that everyone has access to a family doctor so that they can get the care that they deserve.
Jim Johnston with the Green Party.
Our platform, which was released this morning, indicates that we are going to recruit new doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, and PSWs in order to improve the healthcare delivery in community for all Ontarians. To your specific suggestion that people should get a tax rebate because they can't find a doctor, I don't think that really solves any problems. If you need a doctor and we hand you a check, you still need a doctor, and the check's not going to get you what you need. So the important thing is to fix the system, and we can reliably predict that the Conservative government will not fix the system. They will make it worse and try to push it towards privatization.
Khan with the Liberals.
So in London right now, there are 268, roughly, the family physicians. There are 52 clinics which are being opened for a business purpose, but they are still looking for the doctors. The doctors are not available. The problem is that we are actually taking lots of benefits from the family doctors. The rush, the burden on them is so much that they don't even find time for their families. My wife, being a family physician, honest to God, when she comes back from her clinic, till late night, she keeps on doing all the paper job. So this is the main issue. The issue is that there was nothing done by Mr. Dugford for the betterment of our health system. But for our Ontario Liberal Party, we're going to hire more doctors. We definitely will try to make more. There are 2 medical schools which we are going to build, and doing so, I think we definitely will solve this problem.
On that note, it does seem like a reality in Ontario is that a lot of doctors who graduate from medical school do not want to become family doctors. What's your opinion on that, and what's your solution? Start with Jim Johnston of the Green Party.
Great question. The fundamental difficulty is the funding model through OHIP for family doctors. And so we need to revisit that to make sure that family doctors get adequate compensation. Family doctors work very hard, and the OHIP model measures particular practices. So it measures office visits, and it doesn't measure time spent with a patient, for example. These important metrics need to be built into the formula so that doctors can make a reasonable living as family doctors. It is very difficult to compete with specializations as a GP, and so we need to. But the system is structured to push people away from being GPs, and we need to make sure that that system changes.
Next, Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
Yeah, I think it's not only the family doctors. Graduates, medical graduates are not even going for the specializations. It's not just the family doctor. The problem is, again, we have lots of clinics which want people to come and join them, but their compensation is very low. Government has already reduced lots of their bonuses. doctors are even moving to US and Middle East because of their, a payment plan over there, what they are getting over there. And lots of, taxes is cutting their, amount from the paycheck which they're getting from Ministry of Health. So when someone, a medical graduate who comes out of college with at least $200 to $300 debt on their back, so they try definitely to first of all get rid of that, and they don't see that in becoming a family doctor or even a specialist here in Canada.
Peggy Sadler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, students who go to medical school go there because they want to provide care for patients. They don't want to be small business owners, which is what is happening to a lot of family physicians who open up private practice. They end up having to effectively run a small business with payroll and all of that administrative burden. It is estimated that family physicians spend 40% of their time on administrative tasks related to running a small business and also related to the paperwork required by the ministry. We need to relieve the paperwork burden on family physicians, but we also need to dramatically expand family health teams because young graduating physicians are trained in integrated model of providing care with other healthcare providers. That is the kind of medicine that medical school graduates want to practice. They want to be part of an interdisciplinary team in a family health context.
For our next question, we'll focus on homelessness. Encampments have become a stark issue in communities across the province, and it would be no surprise to voters in London who have seen it also grow here. So what is your party's plan to ease that problem? And we'll start with Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
Yeah. In London, especially in the last couple of years, the homelessness has become a very big problem. And during the COVID, lots of people were transferred from different areas to London. So our party is, the main plan is that they definitely will give an incentive to the builder to build more affordable houses for them. And they're also looking to try to bring all of these people back to workforce again, give them opportunities to create such a atmosphere that they should come back and they start working. And by doing so, we definitely will increase, rather decrease the burden on the city councils to look for, to work for these people.
Peggy Sadler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, encampments and homelessness are literally the legacy of the Ford government. The Association of Municipalities of Ontario just put out a report saying that there's 80,000 Ontarians who are currently homeless. That's 25% more than in 2022. So the Ontario NDP is proposing to construct 60,000 units of supportive housing. That would provide the kind of wraparound supports that people who are experiencing homelessness need in order to remain permanently housed. We are also going to upload the costs of running shelters. Right now in the city, the cost of homelessness is being borne by property taxpayers. It shouldn't be on the property tax base. It should be a provincial responsibility. So that's something the NDP is committed to doing. And finally, we need to increase social assistance rates so people aren't forced into homelessness because they can't afford rent.
Johnston with the Greens.
Homelessness is a multifaceted problem. It involves dealing with issues of mental health, addictions, the housing crisis, both in terms of quantity and cost of housing and rentals, and also income instability, including ODSP and Ontario Works. So there's a multitude of problems that need to be addressed. The Green Party platform says that we have an immediate issue, that we have to find safe, adequate housing for the people who are currently in encampments. And that we also need to provide additional funding models for the municipalities so that they can raise the money needed, including with the support of the Ontario government, to create those facilities and make sure that we have a safe place for those people.
I'll note again before I ask this question that the progressive conservative candidate in London West was invited to today's all candidates debate. My question, why does Ontario need Doug Ford's promised $1 billion police college upgrade in Aylmer when so many of our school kids are attending class in portables that are actually glorified trailers in parking lots? I'll start with Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's an either or question. We need to invest in education, and this has another failure of the Ford government. We have 50%, more than 50% of schools in the Thames Valley District School Board are in great disrepair, and the maintenance and repair backlog is growing. We have kids all over the city in portables because we need more schools to deal with rapid population growth. We also have a post-secondary system that is in crisis. We just heard that Fanshawe College is looking at a $100 million revenue loss over the next 2 years. And students, young people, not only in K to 12 are forced to go to school in schools that are in disrepair, but when they go to post-secondary, the programs that they want to attend are going to be cut because of the government's failure to invest.
Jim Johnston with the Green Party.
Thank you very much. I agree with Peggy that it's not an either-or issue. It's a question of priorities and timing. When we have a society like the one we have now, which had neglect and lured investment in education, in health, in mental health services, we end up having more social problems and a higher need for policing. And so it's kind of a pay me now or pay me later problem that we have in our society. So yes, we need to make sure that we have adequately trained police to take care of our society and keep us safe. But we have to remember that we also need to solve problems at the beginning of the cycle. So we need to improve simple things like minimum wage and ODSP rates should be doubled. So that's one of the many things that we need to do.
Bakar Khan with the Liberals. My issue over here is that whatever we are discussing right now is that we go to, it should have been done. I mean, it should work like that. My question is, for last, I think so many years, why has not that been done? Mr. Doug Ford is in the government twice, NDP are there, opposition. Why these issues are still there? Mr. Ford is going to invest wherever he has invested, that went wrong. Definitely. I mean, he is going to, I mean, for this much money, what he's trying to spend would definitely help some of his friends. The issue is why he was not stopped. My question is like that. I put my question on both of my colleagues, and if we have that, our colleague from NDP, PC, but she's not here. So why has not that been done? My question is that. My people are asking this question. We have Doug Ford government, we have their NDP as an opposition. Everything is going good for him because there's no opposition. And school, every problem is multiplying. Kids are going out of classes, I mean, high class rates. So unfortunately, my question is for the rest of the parties.
Peggy, I'll give you a chance to rebut for 30 seconds if you'd like as the incumbent.
Yeah, Doug Ford has a majority government, and he's claiming that he needs a mandate in order to respond to Trump tariffs. He has a mandate. You can't get a stronger mandate than a majority government. And a government that has a majority is able to pass whatever legislation it wants to. It's able to determine its priorities, and Ford's priorities have been to reward his insider friends and not to invest in the priorities that we have in the City of London.
Okay, for our next question, this one's wide open. If you were in charge of Queen's Park for a day and you could have one policy approved with a snap of a finger, for example, an increase to minimum wage, what would it be? And we'll start with Jim Johnston with the Green Party.
Absolutely proportional representation in our electoral system. We have a system which historically has favored liberal and conservative governments federally and provincially, and many people are disengaged. They're not going to vote in this election because they feel that their voice doesn't count. And we need to have a proportional system so that everybody can feel that when they put their mark on that ballot, that's really going to make a difference, even if they don't form the government. So I think that would be the one thing I would do.
And Bakar Khan with the Liberals?
Issues right now is people they are facing is the availability of the family doctors. Health is the key issue. Canada was famous for their best health system, their education. Unfortunately, that's not more here now. People are going back to their own countries for get the quick appointments. Over here, the wait time. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday. He has to go for an MRI, and the wait time is 2 years just for an MRI. So the first priority of Ontario government will be, Ontario Liberal will be, to provide every Ontarian a family doctor.
Peggy Sattler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, I think a health care guarantee is the most fundamental obligation that the government should be looking at right now, and it's something that the NDP would move on immediately. Of course, the Liberal record on health care in this city is not a good one. I mean, we saw hallway health care became a reality under the Liberal government, but we need to connect all those Londoners who don't have primary care to a family doctor, because so much of the provincial budget is involved in providing health care. And when you provide health care through the hospital, that is the most expensive way to deliver care. And you're not keeping people healthy. You're waiting until they are in a medical crisis and then treating them at that point. So connecting people early to primary care, keeping our citizenry healthy, that should be a number one commitment of any government.
A new Leger post-media poll that's 24 hours old as of this recording shows Doug Ford with a 20-point lead over the second place leader, which would be Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie. What can your party do to close that gap? And we'll start with Bakar Khan of the Liberals.
The main thing what we are trying to do is to, stop Doug Ford of all of his spending. What he's trying to do, we are going to realize people that what has he has done so far. Like you can see the 1.9 billion spent to speed up the sale of booze by multinational corporations, 100 million deal with Elon Musk, and then 800 billion, I think, on scandal on. We are trying to start, investigation right in the first 30 days if we have been elected, and people are literally understanding that yes, Ontario Liberal can do this, and that's why you can see all of this rise in our polls that we're going to be definitely going to make a new government.
Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats.
Yeah, I think people are just starting to tune into the fact that there is a provincial election underway. It was called very suddenly, and some people, when you go to the door, they're not even sure that there is an election, or they think it's a federal election. They're not sure which election is going on. And so as people become more aware, I think they will become more receptive to what I'm saying at the door and what they're hearing from the NDP. We also have a provincial leaders debate coming up on Family Day. And I know that when people get to see Marit Stiles, the Ontario NDP leader, in action, they are going to see someone who is on their side, someone who wants to invest in the priorities that we know are shared by so many Ontarians around healthcare, housing, and some relief from the rising cost of living.
And Jim Johnston with the Greens.
Well, when I hear about a 20-point lead, it saddens me. I think if I had a magic wand and I could make everyone aware of the consequences of the actions of the Ford government on their lives, I would wave that wand and I would help people to understand. There are so many better ways to manage the province of Ontario. And when you have a majority government like this, so many voices get shut out. And I would suspect, although I do not know, that the three of us sitting here probably share more values in common than we have different. And when people can work together in a political climate to collaborate and make productive change for a society, then amazing things can happen.
Nearly 1/3 of downtown office space in London is vacant. Appreciating that what's good for downtown London is good for the entire city, what would you do to push your party to help fill those spaces? We'll start with Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats.
Housing is where it starts for so many people. Housing, you need permanent, stable, safe housing in order to get a job, in order to access healthcare, in order to move forward with your life. So the NDP has a commitment to create a new public builder, Homes Ontario. And that builder is going to construct over 300,000 units of non-market homes, working with nonprofit housing providers, co-op housing providers, and that would include supportive housing as well as student housing. This would be an opportunity to work to use that unused office space in communities like London to provide some of the housing that our community so desperately needs.
Go next to Jim Johnston with the Greens.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that using vacant office space to solve the short-term housing crisis, particularly for homeless people, is a tremendous use. I was raised on a farm and I was taught not to waste. And when we have space, we should be using it. We also believe in building strong communities with strong community-based businesses. And when we work with the community to determine what new businesses might be needed inside a community, then we can start to fill those spaces up with new businesses as well. I read an interesting article that said that there are companies who want to start their commercial pickleball companies, and they're having difficulty finding space to set up pickleball courts. And I know seems like an odd thing to do, but if it makes money, not a bad use for commercial space.
And Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
All of the whatever, I mean, you must have already you people have also seen that downtowns are basically supposed to be a very beautiful place where people can come and enjoy and spend their good time over there. Unfortunately, because of all of these, homeless people who are, sitting in the downtown, the businesses are closing over there because there's no, people don't want to come over there. So we have to basically go to the root cause of this issue. We need to provide spaces, places to homeless people. We need to make downtown a safe place so that people should come back and start their businesses over there. Doing this, I think we will be able to, make our downtown again a very good area to visit, not only and to people and families to spend good time over there.
Okay, bear with me here. This is going to get the award for the longest question of the debate. And so just hold on. I'm quoting a CTV report here. Asked about increase in the Ontario Disability Support Program rates. In fact, I think he was asked about doubling them. Doug Ford expressed some support for supporting people on Ontario Works, but he added, healthy young people that are sitting on the couch watching the Flintstones, they should be out there, they should be working. Your reaction to that? And we'll start with Jim Johnston of the Green Party.
Well, my reaction is on the record at CTV, and I think it's preposterous to make a statement like that. They did their own audit of ODSP recipients and found that less than 1% of the recipients, there were issues about the veracity of the truth of their claims. The truth is those people need that money, and they need it to live, and we don't give them enough to compensate for the disabilities that they're experiencing. And it's a myth, and every time it gets repeated, it adds validity to the myth, but it's still not true. And we have to separate the truth from the fiction in these situations. because the people who are receiving those benefits need them in order to make a new life.
Bakar Khan with the Liberals.
I will respond to this statement as what can you expect from a school runaway? So I would take it like that. And for Ontario Labour Party, as Bonnie promised, that we will double the amount of ODSP, because currently it's about 1,368 per month, and that is simply not enough for the people. And we strongly believe that whoever, and this is the beauty of the Canada. Canada is basically a social welfare country, and everyone who is not being able to work for their family or for to feed their kids, we are here to provide them the best facilities, and that's what we are planning. If we come to the government, we'll double the amount of the ODSP.
Peggy Sadler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, Doug Ford's comments were extremely offensive and also hurtful to all those people who are living on social assistance, on disability, because they cannot work. The Ford government is choosing to allow people who need social assistance, people on ODSP who cannot work, they're choosing to allow those people to live in legislated poverty. The amount of ODSP that they receive on a monthly basis is barely enough to pay the rent, much less buy groceries, or buy a bus pass. And to suggest, to perpetuate these really harmful stereotypes that people on ODSP are scamming the system is really, really offensive. You have to go through extensive application process and provide medical evidence in order to qualify for ODSP. We should be providing social assistance so that people can live in dignity.
On a more optimistic note, what would you say is the most positive thing about life in London West? And we'll start with Bakar Khan of the Liberals.
Well, back in 2012, when we moved to Canada, we landed in Hamilton. And after 2 years, my wife got residency here in London, University Hospital, and we moved to London. I always call London as a beautiful village town. I love London. London is one of the best cities I have ever seen. I barely go to Toronto, not only because that I love London, because of the rush which we have seen over there. Unfortunately, London is going again, getting all this rush because of lots of new population. And unfortunately, there's no, special care was taken for the infrastructure, and our roads are getting bad. And so we're kind of seeing all this rush back to London. But London as a whole, I love my city, and I would love to stay in London all the time.
Peggy Sadler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, shortly after I was elected, I started a program called the London West Community Recognition Award. So it's been going for about 10 years. And I invite service clubs and community organizations and other community groups to nominate deserving volunteers. And then we present the awards on an annual basis. And it's been just so inspiring to hear about the unsung heroes in the community, people who are doing so much good, helping each other, lifting each other up, and contributing to make London West the wonderful place that it is. So it has been an absolute pleasure every year to present the awards to the recipients, to hear these inspiring stories of the contributions that people are making on a daily basis to improve our community.
And Jim Johnson with the Green Party.
Thank you. I love London West. I've actually lived in London West in 4 different places. I lived in Berkshire Village, and then in Old South, and I lived in Byron, and I lived in Westmount. And in each place I found friends. I found people that I could relate to, and a good sense of community. I enjoy London in general, but London West for sure. And I'll just point out that the 3 of us sitting here, we share a lot of values which are pretty important. And like we're just talking about ODSP, it turns out every party sitting here wants to double ODSP rates. So isn't that a message that the government should be listening to? But they're not here. to listen to that, and that saddens me. Thank you.
I'm going to return to the Donald Trump tariff issue for our last couple of questions. It does feel as if that matter is crowding out what would otherwise be a top priority, which is the issues facing municipalities across the province. In your opinion, what is the number one biggest issue facing the municipalities in Ontario? And I believe we will start with Jim Johnson of the Green Party.
Well, I think the biggest challenge facing municipalities is funding. There's so much work to be done and not enough money to make it happen. We've downloaded so many services from the provincial government onto municipalities, and that followed the wave of downloading from the federal government in the late 1990s. So as all the responsibility gets pushed down, we also don't have the same mechanisms for generating revenue at a municipal level. And so one of our policy proposals is to create mechanisms for municipalities to generate more revenue so that they'll have more choices in terms of the programs that they can support and create.
Khan with the Liberals.
I mean, I will especially talk about our own city. I mean, there was for last two terms, NDP is in the government, not in the government, but in opposition in the assemblies. I'm not sure how much they have brought for London City. And City, on the other hand, is increasing their revenue by just, raising the property taxes, which is not good for the Londoners. We need to bring more funds. If I may get a chance to represent my London West riding, I'll try my best to bring more funds for City Council so that we should not, press more to the Londoners to pay more in, taxes, especially in the housing. So by this way, I think if we bring more funds for the city, that could help.
Peggy Sattler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, municipalities are really struggling under the Doug Ford government. They're struggling with the crisis of health and homelessness. We're seeing that in London, the amount of funding that is being spent by the city and private donors. I mean, donors have stepped up big time in this city, but the amount of funding that is needed to address that crisis is something that municipal taxpayers are paying for instead of the provincial government, which is where the leadership should come. The provincial government the Doug Ford government has also changed legislation around development charges, for example, which left a $1 million revenue hole in the City of London's budget. And, cities like London are expected to come up with those lost revenues. So we need a new fiscal relationship between the province and cities so that cities can address the needs of Londoners appropriately.
And the threat of Donald Trump's across-the-board tariffs and the economic fallout is palpable across southwestern Ontario, the whole province, but especially southwestern Ontario and here in London. If I'm a factory worker in this city, fearful of losing my job due to Trump's threats, my question would be, what can your party do to help me? And we'll start with Bakar Khan of the Liberals.
Well, again, as we started, we definitely would have to stand against the threat of Mr. Trump, and we need to have a joint kind of coordination from all of the parties. The question is that if a factory worker has a threat, we have to support our workers by spending more for the welfare of their families. And at that time, in this case, we definitely need more funding for the provinces to provide to the affectees and come up more towards social insurance. That's ODSP, the way we are doubling the amount. In that case, I think we need to help all of our affecting families and friends who are getting affected by all of these tariffs.
Sadler with the New Democrats.
Yeah, the NDP has always been a party that's on the side of workers, and we have fought for workers. We fought for workers in 2018 when the tariffs were put on steel. We successfully pushed back against those U.S. tariffs at the time. We need to work with not only the affected businesses, but also the unions and working people to understand what they need to move forward in the face of this threat from the U.S. The NDP is committed to an income support program for workers who are affected, as well as a stimulus package for the businesses and industries that are trade exposed. We need to work with those firms to make sure that they have alternative suppliers, new supply chains, new markets to try to protect those jobs. But the NDP will fight as hard as possible for every single job that's at risk.
Jim Johnston with the Green Party.
Thank you. Clearly, we need a multi-level governmental approach to dealing with the tariff threats. Locally, we believe in strong communities through strong local economies, which means protecting jobs. It means increasing the minimum wage to $20. It includes working with the federal government to extend EI benefits for those who might be impacted short term. It involves helping to subsidize programs which can be used to supplant imports with locally produced products. Part of the large, economic issue which we face in Canada has been the offshoring of manufacturing, which has been going on for 50 or 60 years. And it's time to reverse that trend and get some manufacturing back in London.
Okay, so we have come to the time for our closing statements from each of the candidates. I'll once again note that all the candidates in London West, including the Progressive Conservative candidate, were invited to participate in this debate. We are going to give each of the three candidates who are here a minute for their closing statement, and we'll start with Jim Johnston of the Greens.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'd like your vote. That's why I'm here. I do believe that proportional representation, for example, seems out of place here, but it's really important. If we had proportional representation, we wouldn't have this situation where a majority government, like the Conservatives, can be so arrogant and insulting to the people of Ontario that they're not even showing up at debates to allow people to ask them questions about what they're going to do. It is deeply insulting, I think, to the people of Ontario that Doug Ford is in Washington right now instead of being back here. There is no threat on the table which he's going to resolve by talking to people in Washington. It involves talking to people here in Canada. Thank you.
Bakar Khan of the Liberals.
I would request all of Ontarians that you have seen what has so far been done with your hard-earned money. It has been spent on friends, families, and cronies. We don't want to do this again for next 4 years. Unfortunately, that was done in presence of a very strong opposition, but which didn't play their role. It was given a free way to Mr. Doug Ford. Well, he's kind of a Trump Jr. And this is what we are facing right now. So we need to stop that gentleman, and we have to elect Liberals again. And by doing so, you will definitely see the change what we are expecting.
With the New Democrats.
I've been elected 4 times in London West, and I've worked hard to represent our community and to fight to get people the help that they deserve. After 7 years of Doug Ford, people are struggling more than ever. In this election in London West, it's a two-way race. Voters can choose to let Doug Ford off the hook for his terrible record for leaving 128,000 Londoners without a family doctor, for the legacy of encampments and homelessness, for allowing people to be forced out of their homes because they can't afford to pay the rent. Or they can vote for someone who always goes to bat for her constituents and won't stop fighting to make things better for the people of London West. The Conservative candidate wasn't here today to explain why Doug Ford was prepared to sell off the Greenbelt so that his wealthy friends could make $8 billion profit, why he won't fix healthcare or build homes. But you know me, and you know that I am on your side. On February 27th, vote Peggy Sattler in London West.
And with that, I would like to say thank you to the three candidates in London West who shared their time with us today. Jim Johnston of the Green Party, Barack Khan of the Liberals, and Peggy Sattler of the New Democrats. I'm Patrick Maloney with the London Free Press. Thank you for watching, and I remind you to vote on or before February 27th.